Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the rise of the micro brands.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
First of all, we're going to have to change that slide. We made a little bit of a change in our name. It's still Lunch with Norm, but it's going to be the Amazon FBA Ecom podcast. So, Kels, I guess you're going to have to change that intro a little bit, or get Hayden to. But anyways, that's the news for the day. We've got a great guest today. It's the first time on the podcast, Talor Ofer. He's the CSO of Retail Empire. And Taylor's going to be talking to us about products offline to retailers and specialty stores in the USA. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things, but not Amazon. We're going to be talking off Amazon, getting into retail. So I can't wait to talk about this. Kelsey, are you on?
Yes, I am. Having a couple of audio issues, but we figured it out and we're good to go. So apologize for being late, everyone. That's on me.
I'm going to dock you.
But it happens.
I'll dock you 5 minutes.
All right. So everyone watching, we got to smash those like buttons. I see that Patia, Rad, DK is here. Mark, welcome everyone. Welcome to the show. If you have any questions at all, please put them in the comment sections. And we do have an event schedule on our Lunch with Norm website now, so you can see all of our guests in a month in advance. So I highly recommend going over there. Check out the lineup. And yeah, if you're looking for any of the episodes, you can go over to our YouTube channel. That's where everything is. Full episodes, short highlight clips. It's got it all. That's just Norman Farrar that you can search up. And yeah, welcome Daniel from Brazil, our Facebook user. I'll have to figure out who that is. But yeah, we've got a good crowd already. And we do have 2 prizes today. So one is a product prize that is from Rad, which we really appreciate. And the second
Thank you, Rad.
Taylor's going to share something, but we'll let him do that. But yeah, Talor, sorry. I believe that's Talor is his name.
All right, very good. Oh, I also see Dr. Kaz and Near. All right. I'm not sure. You know what? When I go to events, sometimes people hear me say, do you know John? He's from Winnipeg, knowing that I'm from Canada. And the chances are you don't ever know that person, right? It's happened once where I knew a person. And I'm going to have to ask Taylor, do you know Near? I know you guys both live in Israel. I know you guys both live in Tel Aviv. But when we get to it, either Near's going to roll his eyes and Taylor's going to roll his eyes like he didn't just say that, did he? But anyways, if you have any comments, throw them over into the column. We'll try to get to the questions. If we can't get to the questions, we'll post them in the group and we'll get them answered for you. But sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy the show. Taylor, do you know Near?
Hi. Yeah, I believe I know. I know a bunch of Near. I believe you're talking about Near Rave.
Yes.
Yeah, of course I know him. I even met him in person at least one time that I remember. And by the way, yes, I mean, back in here they call me Talor, but in the States I'm usually called by Taylor. So either way is fine. And yeah, I know Near quite good. The best guy ever. Yeah.
I agree. And Fatia, I just saw Lunch with Norm. Sounds great. Why change it? It's still going to be Lunch with Norm, except we're just changing it's not going to be the rise of the micro brands. It's going to be the Amazon FBA and Ecom podcast. So Lunch with Norm still exists. It's not going anywhere. All right. So Taylor, why don't you explain a little bit about yourself for us that, or the listeners that don't know about you and what you do?
Definitely. So thanks for the opportunity and for being here, having me here. That's the first of all, very important. It's like, after a bunch of time seeing, Lunch with Norm in a couple of places, it's like, an honor to be here. I started my road back at around 18 years ago. I used to live in China and I was there for like almost 7 or 8 years. I was quite lucky that I started with another partner, and we were one of the manufacturer of Walmart. Back at these days, online wasn't the thing at all. We're talking about 2002, 3, something like that. It was starting to be the online thing, but was very far from what we know today. And I never thought about online, so I was just selling Walmart and being very happy with my share. And it went in a way that I continued selling to other retailers such as Costco, and I also did denim line for a singer, maybe you know her, Beyonce. I was doing like something like 90% of her line back in these days. It was very good. BCBG, Max Azaria, a lot of lines came in. And then around 2010, I got like, I got married and everything. And I thought like, okay, that's like, it's good enough. And I'm done with China, and I rolled myself back to Israel. But I was still, connected strongly to the US market. So I developed different private labels of my own, wearable tech accessories, some garments, electric items, and so forth. And again, I was focusing on offline, on department stores, because that's what I knew. I didn't know anything else. I mean, I've seen people starting to sell on eBay back in these days, and I heard a couple of times something about Amazon, but I wasn't sure what is it or what is it about. And I couldn't understand, the potential, because I was like, imagining that if you sell a piece or 2 or 5 or whatever, 100 a day, like, that's not my thing, because I was selling bulk. I knew only, by thousands or whatever. So it went, in my life and in my career in a way that I was, always in retail. And then around 2014, 15, 16, and so forth, Amazon became like a huge thing. And there's so many sellers started, to join that party. And I kind of, got to know a few of them. Around 2017, I ended up with my last line of products, which was the wearable tech accessories, which I sold to around more than 60 different retailers in the States. We're talking about Macy's, Bloomingdale, Costco, Target, TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Burlington, you name it, like all of them. I just developed what I knew, because I knew how to work with retailers. It's a certain language, like you have a language on Amazon. So it's a certain language that once you know the language, you know how to implement and how to use it in a conversation with the other side, so that they know that and then they feel fine. Because if the other side, the retailers, would feel in any way that you don't know what you're doing, or you're not 100% familiar with the retail offline business, they would be very afraid to work with you. Because for them, for the retailers, it's like, it's all about delivering. If you don't deliver in terms of branding, in terms of pricing, in terms of product, of course, but if you don't deliver, it's a big headache for them, because they are working upfront, like 2-3 seasons upfront. Like I'm getting orders now for September, October, and sometimes even for January 22. Like, yeah. So I ended up at 2017, and then I thought, like, what's going to happen next? And I was lucky, because out of the woods a lot of people came and approached me saying, hey, I'm selling on Amazon, and another one. And I was like, all right, you're selling, what can I do for you? Like, what is the purpose? And they were like, we're selling on Amazon. We do understand that the big market is out of Amazon. We're doing it, like very nice figures on Amazon. But then if we already have the private label and we are producing, and we know all about, Chinese manufacturers and logistics and, BOL, PL, CI, all these terms and everything, why wouldn't we use the power that we have, all this structure, to grow the brand nationally? And then I was like, fine. And I started with two of them actually. And it went good. I just, had to do like a lot of adjustment from online to offline, because, the terms were different. The packaging was different. Everything was different. A lot of offline, offline people usually talks about the packaging. The packaging is a very small part of the offline. If you communicate like with whatever, Family Dollar or all these stores, even if you don't have the right packaging, it's adjustable. They would say, all right, if you're doing like a cut to order with them, like, upfront order for like the future, like 6-7 months ahead, they would come up with their own, ideas for packaging, and they work on it with you. So like the packaging is not that big issue as people present it. It is an issue, but not, the biggest one. Yeah, that was quite a long brief about me, but just last thing. Since then, I was like, I was doing two things, which I'm still doing today. And one of them is coaching people how to take their lines from like online to offline. And then the other thing is to do my own products that I'm selling in retail. And well, both for, for the money and for living and everything. But I did understand that if I'm not going to sell my own products offline, then I'm going to tell people theories and not facts. See what I'm saying? Because the market is changing, and we saw that like very clearly last year. But the market is changing even without 2020, sorry. Is the market is changing quite fast. So since it's changing fast and there's a lot of movements inside the retail and inside the different channels, it's not only the retail, there's other channels. So yeah, so when you're being here and you work on it with your own products, then you know what's happening and you know what to tell other people that works with you. Yeah, that was my long brief.
And it was educational. So
It's trying to.
if you're an Amazon seller, so this comes up, and we're hearing a lot more about it, more and more, that Amazon sellers want to go from Amazon, go off of Amazon, get into retail. How tough is that?
Well, I don't think it's that tough because, as I mentioned, like, most of the structure, if I'm looking at, that was the thing with me, for me, with working with Amazon people, and I did so quite a lot, still doing that. If I'm telling them whatever, what's your landed price, what's your MSRP, they know the terms, they know some of them, and even if they don't, they catch up very fast because they know what happens in China. They know how it is. If you're telling them, what if I bring you an order for like in 3 months that you need to execute, then the guy would tell you, no way I could do that. I mean, you can calculate 1.5 months of production, another month, on the water, and then another 2 weeks just to be secure for all the custom release and everything. But then they would tell you no. I would say why, and then they would explain, different reason. And that was like, that's the thing with Amazon people, that most of them, they know what it takes in terms of production and private label. The thing is that there's, different levels in your branding and different levels. And I know that you guys spoke about, in your podcast, you spoke about branding quite a lot. And it's very appreciable because branding is one of the things that, like, it's like when you meet a person and the first thing that you see on him would, this will occupy you along the way. It will take you a long time. It will take the other person a long time to change your mind. If he saw something in the very first meeting you had, that's like the first impression, right? So it's the same thing with branding. So, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of tips and I'm hearing a lot of people dealing with branding and then thinking that at the end of the day, the majority of the work around, and for Amazon seller, around going from online to offline is around the branding. And I would not even call it branding. I would call it wowing. Because if you want to catch the other side's eye, it's the same way that you have, you're investing a lot of time and effort on your product pictures on Amazon, right? Because you know that that's what's going to sell. I mean, if the picture is not like, 1,000,000% great and, attractive and with all the details and sharp and everything with the restrictions that Amazon has, then you're not going to end up, getting attraction enough. Although, you have the PPC or whatever you have there on Amazon, which I'm not really familiar with, but it's the same thing about branding. Like it's a huge impression that you have to make for the very first second. And that relates, not only to the product or the pictures, but also to what you're writing. Like you could offer your product. Most of us have seen like tons of emails coming in their email from, Asian suppliers, I'm saying gently, or whatever suppliers from different places in the world. And you could say from the way they introduce themselves, how professional they probably going to be or not. Plus, you could say how much they invested of thinking what would be the first impression, because 90% of those emails, you don't even open them. You just see the preview. That's it. Goodbye. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. I don't need that. It looks like it's just another manufacturer. I'd prefer to look for them actively, right? When it comes to manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
So as an Amazon seller, as a supplier, as a seller in general that is, active, I'm talking about the US market because that's the main market I'm, familiar with. You have to change the way that people is looking at your text, at your emails, whatever it is, LinkedIn, SMS, whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, in the U.S., here in Canada as well, there's a lot of negative information coming out about retail right now. A lot of retailers that aren't making it. Is there anything that we have to, as sellers, be careful of? Because what happens if a retailer goes under and you don't
Right.
get paid? What are some
Right.
safety precautions that you can have going into the market?
Okay. So first of all, yeah, there's always things to be cautioned about, and it's a
Mhm.
great question, actually. It's a very good point. Well, up till now, for all the years that I've been working with retailers, I've never been left behind without payment. The only two cases I had issues with getting the money on time, which wasn't on time, was one of them with Walmart, and that was their fault, and another one with Macy's, which was my fault. I just didn't, moved all their EDI and all their, constructional whatever paperwork properly. So that was my bad. But usually, not usually, but all the time they are paying. They're just paying. They respect. I mean, purchase order and an invoice, especially in the USA, has a legal position. It's like it's like if you go to court, nobody can deny that. That's number one. Number two, a caution step I would take is to read a bit about the company. I mean, if it comes to big companies, Costco, Walmart, Target, that everybody knows that are on the top 20, 30, you have nothing to worry whatsoever. But let me give you an example. I had a nice deal with Bills of Florida around June last year, something like that. I had a $250,000 order, and I was like worried because I've never worked with Bills before. I worked with other section that belongs to the same headquarter, but not with Bills of Florida. And when I when I Googled them, and I was usually I'm trying Wikipedia because that's, the most reliable information that you could get. Something popped like Chapter 11, and I was like, oh my God, Chapter 11? Bankruptcy? I took the PO. I'm obligated, right? And then I digged a little bit more, and I realized that there are two companies, Bills and Bills of Florida. So Bills of Florida were doing great with 500 stores back at that time. I'm talking about almost a year ago. And they were even growing. And those Bills, which is another retailer, smaller with 20 or 30 different stores, they were under bankruptcy. So if I was having a PO from Bills and not Bills of Florida, obviously I would stop right away the whole process, right? I wouldn't get to that point, actually. I was just, so that's a good idea of being cautious. I know that there's a lot of people talking about retail apocalypse, and it's been, out there for like years. I've been hearing this for like almost 7 years by now. And, yes, there are retailers that are having bad times, hard times. If you look at TJ Maxx stock, I think 2018 or 19, they had like a few, I think even a month or two of, dropping down quite dramatically, but it doesn't mean anything. So it really depends on with which retailer you're working with. But the thing with retail, and you have to keep that in mind, and this is part of what I wanted to speak about, that I mean, Amazon is like almost something around 10 to 11% out of the retail market in the States. Now, people tend to think that it's like 50, 60%. When I'm asking this, on live sessions and everything, then that's what people usually answers. But that's incorrect. Like, that's what they are. They are 10 to 11% out of the market. If you look at the .com, for instance, like, if you look at the .com, then you would see like Office Depot or Home Depot.com, and you would see Macy's, which were number 10 and they're number 9 now across the top 10. And you would find Target, I think, number 6. And obviously Amazon are number 1, Walmart number 2, and Etsy and eBay, the first 4. That's obvious. But then on the top 10 and top 20, you would see the online of the offline. Why am I saying that? Because apart from the physical stores, there's so many other channels across that 90% out of Amazon that people usually tend not even to think or to look after them. So this is one channel that I could tell you that is great channel. Now people are selling on Walmart.com, Wayfair. Some of them are sophisticated and trying Costco and succeeding as well. But then think about it. You have the top 20 which are selling like insanely. Why wouldn't you sell on all those platforms? Why selling on 2-3 of them, right? So people are like, hey, how do I start with Costco? There's a lot of ways to start with Costco. How do I start with Walmart? So with Walmart, the information is out there and you already have people coaching about it, right? So the day will come that people will do the same for Costco and Target. But then you don't need to wait for that day because the platform not only exists, the platform wants to sell as much as you want to sell. So literally they are looking for vendors, good vendors, right? So as long as the only difference between them and Amazon and Walmart, the online, is that they are a little bit behind in terms of a platform. Like if you go to Walmart, everything like Amazon, it's automated. You don't need to talk with anyone of the team in order to be an Amazon seller, right? You just click here and there and so forth, upload in, download in, ID, whatever it is, boom, you're in. It doesn't exist yet on the other platforms. Like if I wanted to sell on Macy's.com, and I did enter before the pandemic, I entered like more than 20 different private labels to Macy's.com. If I wanted to sell there, I have to go through the buyer. Now they used to have the same buyer for the online and offline. And then they understood, hey, the online is growing crazily. So they split it into two different divisions because they wanted the online buyers to create something in the platform that would work automatically, not with them reviewing each and every line, right? Anyway, that's one channel. I mean, there's a lot of channels there, but this is like, I see it as a block. Another block. Here is something very interesting. I read an article the other day. And I just spoke about this today with a friend. Out of each and every person in the USA, and I read that, I don't have the link right now, but it exists. Anyway, out of each and every person who ever bought anything online, even one time on eBay, bought himself whatever, USB hub, I don't know, kitchen tools, whatever it is, onion peel. Anyway, out of this, population, which is the majority of the people in the USA, 67% are subscribed to at least one subscription box. Now, this is huge. When I read that, I thought like, oh my God, I used to work with subscription box. I used to work with Pop Sugar, which were, I think the biggest like 3-4 years ago. They are out of business in terms of subscription box. They left subscription box because there's so many companies now doing it. So they're like, forget it. They're still doing their media and doing a lot of other stuff, but subscription box is something that you could see crazy amount of units ordered from your product. Now they need products. Think about subscription box that they have subscribers for $19.99, $29.99, so forth, until sometimes even $129.99, and they have millions of subscribers. Like if you look at Ipsy, for instance, ipsy.com, you can check that. I believe, as far as I remember, they have around 10 or 12 million subscribers for different channels, right? But still, that means that every month they need approximately at least 10 million products because they need to deliver like surprise box. Because the subscription box, for those who are not familiar, it's like you paying for something that you don't know what it is, but every month or twice a month you're getting like a box of surprises. Now you wouldn't get surprises that doesn't fit you. Obviously they're doing it demographically, like they checking if you're male or female, what is your 10 days, what do you like, where do you hang out, how old are you, blah blah blah. Anyway, they give you something that in most cases fits you. They have like their own systems to define what fits you well. So this is another channel, and this channel is huge. I'm telling you, and I'm telling everyone, this channel is huge. Like for me, in the last 4 months, since I realized what's happening there, it's even more than what I do with retailers. Can you imagine? And retailers, it's big work. But with subscription box, it's like endless. It's endless. You have BarkBox, for instance, which is all about products for dogs. So sometimes, a lot of vendors, they have like animals or pets supply, whatever products, and they would like, all right, I'm selling on Amazon. It's perfect. Where else could I sell? I mean, TJ Maxx with their, pet section, I'm not sure. I don't know. But then subscription box, they buy literally everything, every silly thing that you might think about, especially when it's something that the market is not super familiar with, because they want to, renew stuff. So that's the second block. Stop me if I'm taking.
No, you know what? These subscription boxes are a perfect market. I had a chance to speak at Subta, which is the subscription box summit. I didn't know there were so many subscription boxes. When I was talking, I heard that there were 7,000 subscription boxes, and it blew me away. And I don't know if you know Joe Martin. He was on the podcast about 2 months ago. He just sold Charmy Box over to Ipsy for $500 million. It's a crazy. If you want to approach these subscription boxes, that there's, like you said, there is a subscription box. There's probably a garden gnome subscription box. I don't know. There probably is. But
and if there's not, we can establish one.
There we go. But let me stop you there for a second. Kelsey, I know we have a giveaway today. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So we have two giveaways today. So one, we have Talor's consultation. Is that correct?
Right.
So we'll be giving out a consultation. That is #Wheel of Kelsey. So do you want to talk about what would you be talking about for the consultation?
Right. So whomever takes that, wins that or whatever, is going to have like 45, 60 minutes, whatever, an hour with me. I'm not sitting with the clock. It could be more than that. It's fine with me. But consultations means that, and people pay for that, means that I'm taking your line, I'm reviewing it before we speak, and I'm telling you where you can take this line to. Sometimes, I would sell subscription box and I would even give you names and I would give you contacts. Sometimes I would tell you, listen, this is not a product for subscription box. You have to go to TV, all right? Which is a different whole different story, which I haven't spoke about yet. So that's more or less, that's the consultation. It's just, taking your line and doing the adoptions as far as possible within an hour, because it's very short. But anyway, doing adoptions and giving you the direction, or the winner giving a direction of, where these products could sell farther and how to do it. Like what is, what needs to be equipped in order to get there.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Giveaway. Yeah. So Kels,
yeah, that's, and then
Kels, can you type
yes.
#Wheel of Kelsey for me, please?
Of course. Yeah. Because we already got tons coming in already. People are loving it. So #Wheel of Kelsey for that. And then we have a second giveaway from our Beard Nation member, Rad. He's giving away, let's see, it's a solar charger with 3 charging functions. It's like a hand crank, wall, and a solar with an LED light. So that is only available for US and Canada, Mexico only. So if you want to enter in that, get a free LED solar charger. That is #WeLoveRad. Okay, so there's 2 giveaways.
Rad is awesome. He's got a great brand. He does it right, and just happy to have him as part of the Beard Nation. Thank you, Rad. All right, so let's get back to it, Taylor. Oh yeah, one last thing. If you like what you're hearing, smash those like buttons, subscribe, ring the bell, do whatever you have to do. We'd love to have you as part of the Beard Nation. Kelsey's going to put the links in there. And I guess Kelsey says I have to say that at least twice a podcast. So back to you.
That's a good one.
So we were talking about subscription boxes, and one other thing I'd like to say about subscription box is that if it's a recurring product, if you have a recurring product like a bar of soap or a pet chew or whatever it is, and you can get into a subscription box, that's incredible. The other thing you can look for with subscription boxes is it might cost a lot, but they have an incredible captivated audience that you can advertise to. So you could either buy the list or you can start advertising on their website. But there's all sorts of ways that you can extract customers from a subscription box. And by the way, guys, Kelsey will put up the link to Subta, but Subta is an incredible event. It happens a couple times a year. And if you wanted to learn about subscription boxes, that's the place to go. All right.
Awesome. So yeah, you just mentioned Ipsy. You know, I started working with a private label cosmetic ones, face care or something like that. Anyway, about a month ago, and I told the lady, like, you know, this has to go to a subscription box, but we still have to do branding and everything. We did everything very fast, and then 2 weeks ago we applied both Ipsy and Cosbox, which I have relation with. Ipsy ordered the first order of 101,000 pieces, which was like, you know, she was like, what? Are you kidding me? She was like, she was shocked, you know. And then I said, and then she said, I don't have that enough inventory on the ground. I have like less than half. I said, that's fine. They're going to give you like, you know, they're going to give you time to produce it. They don't expect you to have such an inventory on the ground. Second order, which still negotiating, is 350,000 pieces, which is like, you know, it's like an imaginary numbers when it comes to just stepping in to start working with them. And then Cosbox ordered like 85,000 pieces of another product from her and giving her a blanket order, which means like a future order, all, you know, in the next quarter of another, I think 80 or 90,000 pieces. So that's more or less where they are. But again, you have to know how to work with them. You cannot just say, hey, here is my products, as we mentioned in the beginning, you know, like, here is the products and do you like it, yes or no? It doesn't work like that. It has to be a little bit more sophisticated. Another very interesting thing that I did, I mean, I did like 3 or 4 years ago, I believe, you know, ABC channel, right? And they have Good Morning America on Thursdays and Saturday mornings, and they also have it different segment, but they also have Friday night. So anyway, I did a segment with them, with the other products that I had back at that time, and I was selling with because I had relationship with her secretary. Her name is Tori Johnson. I believe you know the name. Yep. And Tori Johnson is running a segment under Good Morning America, which is named by Deals and Steals. This is just an example, because there's so many other segments that are very good in TV. They're taking obviously like their cut from these sales, but I sold like in 4 hours, and I could sell it in 1 hour, but they had to wait for the West Coast to wake up, because they're like, you know, time difference, 3 hours and everything. They just slow down the inventory, saying like, please come back, visit us later, ran out of stock or whatever, because they had to wait for West Coast. But anyway, in 4 hours, I sold over $150,000 worth of goods, which was like, you know, I would never expect to do so. And I realized that I have a lot of power in TV, but then I didn't do anything with that because I was, whatever, busy with other stuff. So my team just found the girl who replaced that girl that was an assistant for Tori Johnson. So I got to start to work with them again, and I'm looking at the numbers. So I was asking her assistant, I was asking her, Halle, what is the minimum like wholesale value of goods that you want to have in my warehouse ready to ship before the show? She said, like, if it's less than $150,000 of worth wholesale, which means $300,000 retail, right? More or less. Then we won't even start the segment. We won't even let you in. That's how it works with them. And they have, think about it, they have every Thursday and Saturday, they have 6 different private labels selling. So it's 12 different line of products every week, 12 of them. And that's only GMA, Deals and Steals. It's a very particular thing, right? So when I've seen that, I was like, oh my God, I was missing here something again, because I was like running after TJ Maxx and their buyers and, you know, Burlington, Home Goods, a lot of headaches and paperwork and liability and so forth. And then, hey, it's under, you know, it's just on the floor waiting for you to pick it up. And then if you look on YouTube on all these channels, especially Deals and Steals, they're the products that are, you know, they're selling like what was it? And you know the home sleepers like with animals on it, like, you know, with a lion and with whatever shape it has. that kind of stuff, and you think like, oh my god, this is not even special. I mean, it exists for like 3 decades or something, right? But the guy just went there and said, hey, I want to sell here, and boom, he is. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's another block of opportunities where to sell out of Amazon.
Can I talk about one other thing? So, if you have a successful brand on Amazon, I get these types of emails, and I like to know your opinion on how can you see the ones that you can trust. What I'm talking about are these distributors and wholesalers that contact you and say, "Oh, look, I'm the biggest distributor of XYZ. I want to buy your product, and I want to sell it, to these different retailers or these different wholesalers." And you get these, and for the most part, I just delete them because I think a lot of them are just a bunch of crap. But are there any? Is there any way to make sure, or are there any hints on how to follow up with these types of emails that could get you in the door? If you don't want to do this yourself, it is a bit of work. And if you give it my family comes from the manufacturing background. We sold to distributors. That's what we did. But we had great distributors. We vetted them. We knew who they were. When you get 100 of these emails, you don't know who the heck these guys are.
Right. Well, I've never ran into such a question. And to be honest with you, usually people who is like asking me about this are asking me how to get to those distributors, not how to define which one are the best. So you're having like most probably a very good product in hand. But what I would do, I wouldn't delete them. I would look at each and every one of them. I would seriously take the time to do so and find out who's the most serious one. First of all, obviously you have to Google them and see like who's the guy who's talking with you. Does he have any presence offline? Does he have any presence whatsoever online? What exactly is he doing? And if the first impression is, at least, whatever, 70-80%, then I would book a call. Now in a call, you can limit it, and that's what I do usually, limit it to a quick call of 10 minutes maximum. Now, if the guy sounds, super interesting, or the girl, if the other side sounds super interesting and super knowing what they're doing, then yeah, I would take the call further. That's number one. Number two, you could, before the call or before you even, respond, think about what, in terms of numbers, could you give? Meaning, if the person is buying, if a company is buying products from you and they are reselling it, it means that they have to be very sharp in pricing. Most cases, it will fall under the pricing. Okay, because let's take the assumption that you would not want to go directly to TJ Maxx. You don't want that headache. You don't know how to work with them. Forget it. I mean, I'm not running far. I'm running near, right? In that case, you have to keep in mind that pricing is very sharp. If someone tells you that he wants to sell your products to TJ Maxx, most probably it will not happen, because TJ Maxx, what they do, and that's a good example, but all the discounters are doing it, like Sam Club. It's the same thing with Costco, although they are not really a club, but with Costco the same. Burlington for sure, because they are the bigger competitor for TJ Maxx. Home Goods, all the discounters, the off-price, all the dollar stores as well, very hard to work with them in terms of pricing. What TJ is doing, and that's like leading the market, they are leading the market in terms of what they do, and others are trying to do the same. If you have an MSRP, like retail price of $30, and you would suggest it normally for $15, they would expect to sell it at 20 and buy it for 9 from you. Like, so-called screw you twice. Okay, not screw you, but like squeeze you twice. So then you know that if an agent steps in, or a rep, or distributor, or whatever it is, and your landed price is somewhere around whatever, $6-7, maybe $8, you have like $1.50. There's no room. There's just no room. So you're gonna end up, trying to somehow solve it, but you wouldn't be able, and then everybody left with a small margin, and everybody's like, the order didn't came, it came, I'm working. It's not going to be a good vibe. But if someone offers you to sell it on high-end retailers such as Bloomingdale, Macy's, Urban Outfitter, whatever, Anthropology, Free People, Williams-Sonoma, not Bed Bath & Beyond, not Bed Bath & Beyond, then you know that you have room. You know what happened with Macy's, just mentioned before, I sold them like more than 20 different lines. And one of them was like, those weighted blankets, heavy blankets and everything. We know that product.
Yeah, weighted blankets, sure.
Yeah. So I offered them and we sent the pricing and everything. And then the girl come back and saying, hey, we have another line selling the same thing, but they're selling like almost double than your price. So you have to pick up your price. You have to raise it up. And I was like, and we were like, what? Are we going to raise that? She didn't sell on Amazon because she was kicked off. That's why she approached me, but with that product. But then she ended up selling wholesale price almost the same as the retail price she was selling on Macy's.com, and they're still selling actually as we speak. So, so it depends what platform they offer you. It depends how they present themselves. If you see that like they look in terms of their approaching way, they look serious and good enough, you could Google them for a minute or two. It's worth it because at the end of the day, I mean, I personally don't work with distributors. I sometimes work very specifically with reps. And although what I said earlier, I do work with a rep for TJ, but from the only reason that he knows like all the top management, so it's easier for me because I'm going top to bottom and not bottom to top with TJ. But if you look at normally working with the rep is fine, distributor is harder, because if they buy from you, it means that they like put money on the table, and either they wanted to make that money back plus earning very fast, or they would say, hey, TJ are paying us net plus 30, so we're going to charge you net plus 35 because there's an extra days, right, and so forth. And then you have a double problem, because if you're selling them and they sell TJ, they are the vendor on file, not you. So you're not getting your brand bigger and stronger, which they do. And then the second problem is that you are dealing with someone that you don't know and doesn't have the finance backup or name that the retailers have. Like if I would suppose that I have a huge order, like $1 million order, okay, that I have to put $1 million in production, and I don't have that money because all my money is wherever. I can go to finance to get finance. I can go to a factor, but the factor would never approve a distribution company because they would look at their numbers and banks and everything. They would say, guys, they're not stable enough for that, right? But if they look at TJ or Macy's or whatever, Williams-Sonoma, as we mentioned, definitely, you're going to get factor paying you the production and help you.
Talor, just for people who don't know what factoring companies are, can you just let us know?
Yeah, factor, I'm talking to you because I know that I kind of understand that but you're totally right. When it gets to orders that sometimes you don't have the cash flow to finance them, like you're getting a huge order and then you say, well, this is nice, but I don't have $500,000 or even not $50,000 to finance it. Then you go to a factor. A factor is a small bank, let's call it, not official bank, but just company that has its capital. And what they do is they check your paperwork and check who is the company who gave you the order and who you are and everything, and they could finance the order. So then you have everything paid from their side until you get paid from the company, which is whatever, TV, retailer, whatever it is. So they're like kind of your bank. The thing with the bank is that the bank is, making it harder for people to get like orders financed. And like if you go to the bank and you say, hey, this is from Macy's, they would say, Macy's? Who are they? But a factor, a factor such as, for instance, Rosenthal and Rosenthal in New York, they are familiar with this market. They know that, a lot of importers, distributors, Amazon sellers as well are like, in a need to finance different orders coming from different direction and not necessarily having all the capital for that. So that's what they do as a business. And they charge whatever. The lowest I've seen was 1.5%, but it could get to 4 or 5%. It depends, at the level of the deal.
So really, if you can't, it's just another form of cash flow, and it also transfers the ownership. Like it's not on you; they're going to give you it. You're going to pay them 1.5 to 4%, and you get your money up front to get the order going, and then the responsibility shifts to them to collect.
Right.
So it's it's awesome to use a factoring company under the right circumstances. So it's a great way to provide cash flow.
Right. Definitely. It just depends. I mean, what order you're facing and what's planned in the pipeline for your business, because you might have the capital and you would say, hey, I'm earning, like, just dropping numbers, 40% on top of my product, while I could do 60 on Amazon. So I'd rather take the money that I have in bank or on the floor or whatever, and put it for Amazon, grow it there. If I could do extra money, then I would go to the factor, but not with my cash flow. So it all depends, like, where you're at that certain point.
Have you heard, I kind of through the grapevine heard that Target is on the move. They're trying to get in bigger into the .com game.
I just got an email today because it's hard for me to work specifically with Target. But I have a girl, Ann Smith, which was working there for like 16 years, and she opened an agency, and she's like providing them different private labels. It's the one of those hundreds of emails that you got.
Yeah.
So one of them is her, but she was the right one. So I felt it because, when I pick up the phone and we had the first conversation, she asked me a bunch of retail terms questions. And when I answered, immediately I knew that she knows the language, and she was laughing at the other side because she said, I'm so happy to talk with you and everything, because you know what we're talking about. But then she was for Target. And then she just emailed me today because I presented another different private label to her. And she said, all their team are not back from their vacation. And I'm like, vacation? What a vacation? Is there a holiday that I haven't heard about? And then I was asking her, like, what are you talking about? What vacation? She said, no, it's not exactly a vacation, just running after building new teams. And now that you said what you said, because I haven't heard that, now that you said that, it popped to my head like, hey, maybe that's, the same thing. Like, they're building the online teams to be able to, get to grow bigger. Although they're not small, right? I think their numbers, 6, 7 online, something like that, in the US.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I just kind of heard this, but it could be something to look for down the way. So somebody's looking to get into retail. They want to do it on their own. What are the retailers that you would suggest starting with, and how easy is it to contact these people?
What I would suggest is, first of all, to make some, research. It always starts with research. You have no way around that unless you have, the greatest team on earth to do that for you. And even though, but a research just to know, first of all, who are the retailers? When I was selling like to a lot of them, I was still getting back again and again and researching again, because there are so many different retailers in the States, and I knew that I'm probably missing some of them. So the first thing to know is who are the retailers, and it's quite easy to find on Wikipedia or on Google. You can even search on Google with, advanced search of, Excel files, and you can find ready files with all the retailers. And then you would have to look one by one, or someone from your VA or whatever, to check if this category exists for your products. Like if you're selling whatever, skincare, kitchen, toys, you have to make sure. I mean, you wouldn't apply Bass Pro, for instance, where they are outdoor products company. You wouldn't apply them with toys, right? Because it's ridiculous. Nobody would answer you, and you would think like, "Hey, they're not answering me. It doesn't go to anywhere. I'm wasting my time." No, you're not wasting your time. You're wasting your energy, because you have to go, in the right direction. So that's, as I said, research, and then to know each and one of them from the category, and then, yes, you can apply to them. The biggest rule I could ever tell as a first step is not to fill in any online form. Forget about online forms. These forms are going to the garbage. Trust me on that. I can tell you stories till the end of the night, insane stories, and I'm hearing it from inside. It's going to the garbage, literally. What you do want to do is you want to see who are the title holders. Now you have to understand what title holders are there. Okay, it's not only buyer, it's not only sourcing manager. There are so many different like CMO, GMM, and so forth. You have to learn that a little bit. You can also Google that, like in terms of how the structure is built in terms of their buying teams. It's not only buyers, and then you can approach them in different ways. There are different ways to find, phone numbers, emails, and I could say, like, the biggest title that I would have for this topic is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is literally a gold, it's like it's like a gold cave. It's insane what's happening there.
Yeah.
Insane.
No, I love LinkedIn too for doing research. Okay, so let me see, Kelsey. I know I've seen a bunch of questions coming down. So why don't we answer a few?
Okay, absolutely. From Fatiha, how do you approach subscription boxes to consider your products?
Well, it's easier with subscription boxes because in most cases you might find them, the contact for suppliers in their website. It's as easy as that. You see how easy it could be? And if you don't, then you could click their name on LinkedIn and find, different direction there. Hopefully they respond you. But again, I would suggest not to apply them until you know what you're offering, how you're offering it. And remember, wowing, not branding, wowing. Because if you're not going to wow them, you're going to get the impression or feeling you might get that, nobody wants your product, or they don't know what they're doing, or something like that. Forget it. That's not the case. There's so much, space and room for products in subscription box. So yeah, just make sure that you're doing it right.
I like that. It's wowing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, next question from Abu. What's a typical payment term with retailers?
Well, it depends and varies. Usually they pay you net plus something. It could be 15, 60 days, it could be 30 days. We haven't spoken about another block even, Farrar, it's amazing. Anyway, but you would be surprised to hear it's like negotiable. I mean, sometimes you get net 60. I've seen it with Zulily, for instance, which is another block of sales, like huge or not huge, big, real drop shippers, not drop shipper that takes from eBay and goes on Amazon, like real drop ship of thousands and thousands. But with Zulily, it's negotiable. I found that I was like insisting on 20 days and I eventually made it happen. So, but yeah, usually around whatever, a few weeks, I would say.
Okay.
It depends.
Okay. All right. From Yaro, are you helping to the new Amazon brands get to retailers? What is the package you can offer? What is the approximate price?
Yeah, definitely. That's around 50% of what I do these days is helping Amazon brands to get to retailers, not only to retailers, to various channels. I do have, and I think I will have the link later on screen somehow, but I do have like my website, retailempire.com, with a dash in the middle. And you could see there are like different options with me of like, that's exactly that. Now, I would just explain for a second. So the Retail Empire is my website. And then you have different options of, working with me one-on-one, coaching, non-coaching, consulting, whatever you feel like. And there's also like a retail masterclass that I did with Amy Weiss, famous Amy Weiss, my big love from Texas. I love her. So that's, that masterclass is sitting on her website, which is amazing, at home.com, /retail. That's what you're seeing there.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Let me see. There's one from Dr. Kaz. Hey, Talor, are there top 5 ways of marketing sub boxes? If this would not be Amazon, I believe mostly using Shopify, right?
Top 5 ways of marketing sub boxes. I will answer it in a second, but I'm just trying. This would not be Amazon, I believe, mostly using Shopify, right? Yeah. Okay. So you're actually answering, giving one way of the marketing yourself. The name is Dr. Kaz?
Yeah, Dr. Kaz.
Yeah, Dr. Kaz.
Sorry for that, Dr. Kaz. So the first thing I would say, the first principle or first thing in marketing with them, do not mention Amazon. Everybody talks about Amazon. Everybody knows that what you're doing on Amazon, but we don't talk about it. It's the elephant in the room. That's what it is. Okay. So you're showing them Shopify. You're not sending them to your Amazon and telling them, hey, I have reviews. No, forget it. Number two, it's almost the same as number one. Do not use 5-star Amazon icons on your website. Don't do it. Nobody believes that, because you have like these feedbacks and stars, and everybody knows that I can build a website and I could put whatever comments there that I want, feedbacks, imaginary ones, right? So it's like, it's not authentic. So don't do that. Just make your own website looks, fabulous and beautiful. And if you can, try to use even rendering on the homepage, whatever 3D rendering you could put your hands on. It doesn't cost too much. Whatever, $100, $200, $300, $400, not that much for a rendering. Number three in the marketing, think about your brief. This is a huge title, but brief means, how do I present myself? Like, let's say a bio, okay? As a person, I'm sending, like, when I'm coming to talk here, I'm sending Lunch with Norm, I'm sending them my bio, like, who am I in 3 sentences. So your product has a bio itself, right? Like it has its own life. And that bio for the product is named by brief. Send me your brief. Some people in the industry call it teaser deck, some people catalog, but brief means that you could send like 5 to 6 sentences about your company. Don't be a pain in the neck, like starting to tell stories about your brother came from Boston to visit me with the luggage, and then I figured, no, forget it. Just make it short and nice, and try to think about the other side, looking at that thing, seeing, like, as Norm said before, with this, distributors, like hundreds of them a day, and you want to be the one of the 100 pulled out of the box, put it on the table and say, hey, let's view this. That's what you want to be. So think about it. You have, like, again, wowing, you have to think about the text to be very sharp, and where you're going to bold it. Do not, if you send email, do not attach anything. Why? Spam rules. Very simple. You can read about spam rules. You don't need me for that. It's very easy and very strict about that point. Don't send it from your private email or from your auntie's email, obviously. Send it with your domain and everything. Try to look as professional as you can. If you are having catalog, or you want to send catalog, which is the best, try to use a link for the catalog, like Dropbox or whatever it is. Don't use Google, because with Google, it's always asking for permissions. And the other side, look, well, forget it. I'm not going to ask for permission. If the catalog is not here right now, I'm not going to even read it, right? So it has to be easy and everything. And a very good marketing point that I could give you, if your website has a preview of the product, sometimes even a GIF, okay, and you're sending this on email or as even a message on LinkedIn, the other side, without reading anything of the text, would see a product moving. Now, let me tell you, GIF, you know what is a GIF, right? The 3D moving stuff. A GIF could do what tons of emails wouldn't do. And I've seen that happening. Like, I had a GIF of one of the products I did, but just a flashlight that I was selling, but it was turning, under my signature, and the guy didn't need to read anything. He was like, oh my God, they're selling flashlights. They look great. Okay, let's read. That's how it was. And the guys actually literally told me that. Guys from both EMS, Eastern Mountain Sport, and REI, and Dick Sporting, all of them said the same thing. It was like, wow, he understood in a second what am I offering him. And that was in my signature, not even in the email.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I hope that helped, Dr. Koz.
I got one to add, and you touched on it. When you're sending out an email, don't send out a Gmail.
No.
Don't put like bobsports@gmail.com. If you want to look like a real company, act like a real company.
Right. At lunchwithnorm.com.
That's it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. We just have a couple more questions.
Yep.
I think there's only 2 more. From Fatia, do subscription boxes tend to go for smaller items, or do they also consider large items?
Well, yeah, they tend to go for smaller items, but it depends. Like, if you look at Cosbox or what was the name? Forgot the name right now. Oh my God. There was something Indian, forgot the name. So yeah, they usually look for like something small because it makes sense in terms of shipping and everything. But if you look at pet supply companies like Subbox, yeah, they consider larger items because obviously you would need to have larger items. So don't think about the size of the item as something that might get you failed. No, that's not the case. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. From Kyle, how do I get my suppliers to do the GMP audits that Costco and Walmart require? I've asked them, they said that there are BSCI certified, but they didn't understand the other requirements for GMP and testing.
Okay. That's a very good question. I love this question, Kari. I believe that you know what you're doing if you're asking with these terms, and I love seeing these terms. I had so many issues with that, and I realized that it takes two for tango, right? I mean, if your suppliers just say, I don't know what is a BCSI, I can't do this GMP, you have to build a new supplier. It's crazy, right? But that's what you have to do. If you have two ways, if you're already communicating with them in a very high level, very went with them to karaoke back at 2019 or whatever, then fine. You can coach them, you can explain them, you can send them files, you can even lend a QC company, because most of the QC companies knows these terms and they could help. It costs money, but they could help with such a process. Like if you go to SGS, it wouldn't be the right thing because SGS are too big to handle such thing. But if you go to smaller like BSI or all these QC companies, local ones, then definitely they could help. If both ways of using external supplier for that and helping with all the paperwork and explaining to the supplier doesn't work, you need a new supplier. Anyway, you always need new suppliers because this is life, business life. But I totally understand where you're coming from. In terms of audits, by the way, just so that you know, this is a very gentle topic. I had this topic with Kate Spade. They were killing me with their audits. They were sending people from Kate Spade, China, to check if the lights are really working in the toilet. I mean, come on, guys. Everybody here is cool. Everybody had been to the toilet today. Who gives a damn about this light, right? But they literally checked that and marked it in the box. So it might be sometimes very hard with them. But then there are also external audit companies in Hong Kong, not in China, in Hong Kong, and you might be able to offer that. I don't know what relationship you had with Costco or Walmart, but you might be able to offer them to use an external company and not particular their company or their supplier or themselves, because Walmart themselves, they have people on the ground. I remember that because I worked with them and they were killing me in factories. But yeah, I was trying to do it like short, but yeah, this is a big topic.
All right, so that's the last question, Kels?
The last one, this is an easy one. I think you can do this one. Great show. How can I contact you? Thank you.
Yeah, well.
Sorry, I was just going to say, before we get to that was going to be my question.
Okay.
But before we get to that, just, we're going to be doing the Wheel of Kelsey in probably about 30 seconds or so. So don't forget just to hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you get an extra entry. And also hashtag We Love Rad or Wheel of Rad. I'm not sure what Kelsey said. And that's going to be for one of Rad's products. So anyways, now the big question. I'm sure there's a ton of people wanting to know how to get a hold of you.
Right. Happy to hear that. You're both by email. Like I could drop it somewhere, I guess. I think you have my email, right, Kelsey? Not my Gmail, but
I just didn't know if you wanted to post it or not.
Yeah, sure, no problem. info@retail-empire.com, Facebook. Also on my website, if you go to contact, you can text me on WhatsApp, LinkedIn, whatever platform that you want. It's the most straightforward ways to contact me. I believe that in terms of that's exactly that, and thank you for that. And I believe that one of the most important things and critical thing about working with people, working with companies, customers, everything, even with the retailers and everything, like being available all the time. Right, we have our time to rest and everything, but I know that if I have all these different platforms to contact me on my contact, then I know that someone from my team would answer, even if it wouldn't be me. But at least, because people sometimes say, well, I want to talk with this person. I want to talk with this company. I want to hear more. They don't want to wait for tomorrow. They don't want to wait for later tonight. They want it now, right? Like, it's like McDonald's, right? You want it right now. Big size.
Super size.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've got everybody. Do you want to head over to the wheel?
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
All right, here we go.
It's time for the Wheel of Elsie.
Okay.
All right. So we got lots of entries
A
today.
lot
I'll
of entries today.
quickly shout out my friend Belia, who is joining the show and on to support me. So I haven't talked to her in a long time, but hi Belia, thanks for joining. But here we go. So we have 2 giveaways. This is the first one. This is for the consultation with
Okay.
Talor. 3, 2, 1.
And thanks, Kyle. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. And Daniel. Great
Okay,
music.
so Nir did say that if he won, he's going to give it to someone else. So I'm just going to redo it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nir.
Thank you.
Who's that?
Hey, Tony.
Did Tony Sager get it?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. There you go, Tony.
Okay.
That's a
All
big
right,
prize.
And then
So,
our second.
Tony's already into retail, but he's got an incredible brand. Wait till you talk to him. He's been on the podcast. You're gonna love it. Like he knows his stuff.
Awesome. Can't wait for that.
All right, and for Rad's giveaway,
All right,
this was
Rad.
only for U.S., Canada, and Mexico. So I think some people entered, but they weren't from North America, so I had to not enter them. So that's why you won't see your name. But here we go.
Marsha.
Okay, Marsha.
There we
is the
go.
winner.
I think Rad knows Marsha. Fantastic. So how do
Perfect.
people claim the prize, Kels?
All right, nice and easy. Just send me an email at k@lunchwithnorm.com and I'll do all the work. Just send me your shipping information. And for Talor's consultation, just send me an email and I'll connect the 2 of them. And,
All right.
yeah.
So thanks for watching the episode today, Talor. If you want to stick around for a second afterwards, just wanted to talk to you for a sec. But hey,
Sure.
everybody, I hope you enjoyed the content today. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Talor. And
Thank you for having me today.
man, lots of great stuff. Okay, so that's it for today. Now, Kelsey, what's going on?
Okay, so if you're still around watching the show, hit those like buttons, smash it, as we like to say here. If you've missed the episode, you can always find it on YouTube. Just head over to the Norman Farrar. That's where all the highlights, full episodes are as well. And we have a show tomorrow too. It's a very big
Special
show.
one.
Carlos Alvarez. Yep. So definitely come tune in tomorrow. Kind of
It's
late
going to be
notice,
along
but
this theme too. It's going to be
Yeah,
talking
product
about
opportunities, right?
product opportunities, platforms outside of Amazon. So we've got retail. We talked about. We had talked a bit about sub boxes, and Carlos is going to come in and fill in a few other blanks. So this is going to be great. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. Thank you for being part of our community. We couldn't do it without you, and we'll see you later.
Lunch with the